You are on HOA anger. The HOA turned a package into a prosecution. You picked the wrong rule to violate. That was the first thing Lori Hastings yelled at me when I walked into the management office lobby in Portland, Oregon, at the Granite Falls Property Owners Association. She was already holding her phone up like a weapon, recording me, her cheap plastic badge clipped to her blazer like she was law enforcement. I had come in to report a missing package, a work equipment shipment that never made it to my doorstep, and she was treating it like I had committed a crime. I work as a logistics coordinator, so a missing package is not just an inconvenience. It is a problem that costs me time, money, and credibility with my own clients. I had tracked the shipment to our mail kiosk, confirmed delivery, and then found nothing. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I filed a report with the management office. That was my mistake. Lori is the board treasurer. She has been on the board for 6 years and acts like she owns every square inch of Granite Falls. She slammed her hand on the counter and said, "I do not make the rules, I enforce them." That was her catchphrase. She used it every time she wanted to shut down a conversation. She said the package claim window closed today, and if I did not provide proof of delivery failure right now, the association would not investigate. I told her I had the tracking number and the delivery confirmation. She said that was not enough. She needed a witness statement from the mail carrier. I asked how I was supposed to get that when the carrier had already finished their route. She shrugged and said, "That sounds like a personal problem." Then she pivoted. She said she had been reviewing security footage from the neighborhood and had seen suspicious activity near my unit. She said multiple residents had reported packages going missing, and I was the common denominator. I asked what that meant. She said she had messages proving it and waved her phone around like she was about to pull up a smoking gun. She did not show me anything. She just kept waving the phone and saying she was protecting the community, so due process was optional. I told her I wanted to see the footage. She said the footage was internal HOA property and I did not have clearance. I asked who did have clearance. She tapped her plastic badge and said, "People who are not under investigation." That was when I realized this was not about a missing package. This was about Lori deciding I was a problem and manufacturing a reason to go after me. She leaned in and said she was reporting me to police and started performing for her phone camera. She said my name, the date, and the claim that I had been seen tampering with mail. She said it slowly, like she was narrating for a documentary. I stayed calm and said I would be filing a formal complaint with the regional management office. She laughed and said, "Good luck with that." I left the office and went straight home. My townhouse sits in the middle of a row where everyone can see everyone else's front door. That is the thing about Granite Falls. There is no privacy. If someone sneezes on their porch, 3 neighbors know about it. I figured that would work in my favor. If Lori was claiming I was stealing packages, someone would have seen something. I started by talking to my next-door neighbor, an older guy named Dan who works nights and is usually home during the day. I asked if he had seen anyone near my porch in the last week. He said he had not, but he had noticed Lori walking up and down the row a lot lately, always carrying a clipboard. He said she had knocked on his door twice asking about packages. He thought it was weird, but did not think much of it. I thanked him and moved to the next unit. That neighbor was not home. The one after that said they had seen Lori taking photos of front porches 2 days ago. They did not know why. I asked if they had seen anyone else. They said no, but they also said Lori had asked them if they knew anything about me. They said it felt like she was fishing for dirt. That confirmed my suspicion. Lori was building a case against me, and she was doing it by poisoning the well. I needed proof that I was not the one stealing packages. I needed to clear my name before she got ahead of the narrative. I called the regional management supervisor, a woman named Paula, who oversees multiple properties in the Portland area. Paula does not tolerate drama. She is the kind of person who will cut through nonsense and enforce policy without playing favorites. I explained the situation. I told her about the missing package, the accusation, and Lori's refusal to let me see the footage. Paula said she would look into it, but she also said that Lori had already filed a formal complaint against me. The complaint claimed I had been seen loitering near the storage closet and that a key ring had gone missing from the office. I told Paula I had never been near the storage closet. She said the complaint included a witness statement from a staff member. I asked who. She said she could not disclose that yet, but the association was taking it seriously. She said I should expect a notice in the mail and that I might be suspended from using common areas until the investigation was complete. I hung up and sat in my living room, staring at the wall. This was escalating fast. Lori was not just accusing me of stealing a package. She was accusing me of stealing HOA property. And she had somehow convinced a staff member to back her up. I needed to figure out who the staff member was and why they were lying. I also needed to find out what happened to that key ring. If Lori was framing me, she had to have taken it herself. That meant there was a trail. I spent the next 2 hours going through my own records. I checked my calendar, my emails, my work logs. I had not been to the management office or the storage closet in weeks. I had no reason to be there. My work equipment stays at home. I do not use the clubhouse. I do not attend board meetings. I am a ghost in this community, and that is by design. I like it that way. But that also made me an easy target. Lori could say anything about me, and most people would not have a reason to doubt her. She is visible. She is loud. She is on the board. I am just a guy who keeps to himself. I decided to go back to the management office the next morning and demand to see the complaint. Paula had said I would get a notice, but I was not going to wait. I wanted to see exactly what Lori had written and who had signed off on it. When I walked into the office, Lori was already there. She was sitting at the front desk like she worked there, even though she did not. She saw me and smiled. She said, "Back so soon?" I ignored her and asked the clerk if I could see the complaint filed against me. The clerk looked nervous. She glanced at Lori, then back at me. She said the complaint was still being processed and I would get a copy when it was finalized. I asked when that would be. She said she did not know. Lori pulled a rubber stamp out of her bag and slammed it on a piece of paper like a judge delivering a verdict. She said, "We can tow first and explain later." That was her boomerang line. She said it with a grin, like she was daring me to push back. The clerk looked uncomfortable, but did not say anything. I asked Lori directly if she had taken the key ring. She laughed and said, "Why would I steal from my own association?" I said I did not know, but someone did, and I wanted to see the footage. She said the footage had been reviewed and it showed me. I said that was impossible. She said, "Then I guess you have a twin." I left the office before I said something I would regret. On the way out, I passed a mail carrier I recognized from the route. His name is Marcus, and he has been delivering to Granite Falls for years. I stopped him and asked if he had ever handed a package to Lori Hastings. He looked confused and said no. He said he always leaves packages at the individual units or in the mail kiosk lockers. He said he had never given anything directly to a board member. I asked if he would be willing to put that in writing. He said sure, but he did not know why it mattered. I thanked him and went home. I now had a witness who could contradict Lori's narrative. If she was claiming packages were being intercepted, Marcus could confirm that he never handed anything to her. That was one piece of the puzzle. The next piece came from Dan, my neighbor. He called me that evening and said he had found something. He had a doorbell camera that he had installed a few months ago, and it captured part of the walkway near my unit. He said he reviewed the footage from the day my package went missing, and he saw Lori walking up to my porch, picking up the package, and walking away with it. He said he did not think anything of it at the time because he assumed she was helping me. But now that I mentioned it, it looked suspicious. I asked if I could see the footage. He said yes and sent me a clip. I watched it 3 times. It was grainy, but it was clear enough. Lori walked up, looked around, picked up the package, and left. She did not knock. She did not leave a note. She just took it. I saved the clip and sent it to Paula. I explained what it showed and asked her to escalate the investigation. She replied within an hour. She said she would review it with the board and that I should expect a follow-up soon. She also said she had pulled the key log from the storage closet access system. The log showed that only board members and senior staff had access, and the only person who had used their key in the relevant time window was Lori. That was the smoking gun. Lori had access. She had taken my package. And she had stolen the key ring to frame me. Paula also said she had reviewed the complaint forms on file, and she noticed something strange. There were 2 identical complaints with different names but the same wording. She said it looked like someone had used a template to mass-produce complaints. She asked if I wanted to pursue legal action. I said I wanted to clear my name first and deal with consequences later. The next day, I got a call from a vendor I had worked with before. They provide IT support for some of the community systems. The guy on the phone said Lori had contacted him and told him not to do business with me. He said she claimed I was under investigation for theft and that working with me could put his contract at risk. He said he wanted to give me a heads up because it seemed off. I thanked him and asked if he would be willing to document that conversation. He said yes. That was the vendor pressure move. Lori was not just attacking me within the HOA. She was trying to sabotage my professional life. That crossed a line. I called Paula again and told her about the vendor call. She said she would add it to the file. She also said the board had scheduled an emergency review of the complaints, but it would not be a full meeting. It would be an internal review with her and one other board member who was not Lori. She said I could submit a statement and any evidence I had, and they would make a determination within 48 hours. I wrote up everything. I included the doorbell footage, the witness statement from Marcus, the vendor documentation, and the key log Paula had pulled. I also included a timeline showing that I had been at work during the times Lori claimed I was loitering near the storage closet. I submitted it all and waited. If you are enjoying this story, hit the like button and subscribe for more satisfying HOA drama where the rules come back to haunt the enforcer. 2 days later, Paula called me. She said the review was complete and the board had found no evidence that I had stolen anything. She said the complaint against me was being withdrawn and Lori was being placed on administrative leave pending a separate investigation into her conduct. Paula also said the footage and the key log raised serious questions about Lori's actions, and the association was considering involving law enforcement. I asked what that meant for me. Paula said I was cleared, my access was restored, and I would receive a formal apology from the board. She also said the association would be implementing new controls around package handling and key access to prevent this from happening again. I thanked her and hung up. I felt relieved, but I also felt angry. Lori had put me through hell for no reason, and she had almost gotten away with it. I wanted to make sure everyone knew what she had done. The next week, I got another call from Paula. She said the association had completed its investigation and found that Lori had been stealing packages, petty cash from the clubhouse, and supplies from the storage closet for months. The key ring she claimed I had stolen was found in her car during a voluntary search. The same complaint template appeared in multiple files, proving she was mass-producing fake outrage to deflect attention from her own behavior. Paula said the association was terminating Lori's board membership and pursuing restitution for the stolen items. She also said the association would be sending a letter to all homeowners explaining what had happened and apologizing for the way the initial complaint was handled. Paula said I could request a copy of the evidence packet if I wanted it. I said yes. When the packet arrived, it was thicker than I expected. It included photos of the key ring found in Lori's car, receipts showing discrepancies in the petty cash log, and security footage from the clubhouse showing Lori removing items after hours. It also included screenshots of her phone showing messages where she had coordinated with a staff member to back up her false claims. The staff member had been fired. The letter to homeowners went out a few days later. It was polite but clear. It said the board had identified a pattern of misconduct by a former board member and had taken corrective action. It said the association was committed to transparency and accountability. It did not name Lori, but everyone knew who it was talking about. The reaction in the neighborhood was immediate. People started talking. I saw neighbors whispering in the parking lot and pointing at Lori's unit. Someone posted the letter in the community Facebook group, and the comments section exploded. People shared stories of missing packages, unexplained fees, and strange interactions with Lori. It became clear that I was not the only person she had targeted. I was just the first one to push back hard enough to expose her. A few days after the letter went out, I saw Lori in the mail kiosk corridor. She was checking her mailbox, and I was picking up a delivery. She saw me and froze. I walked past her without saying anything. She did not say anything either. For once, she had nothing to say. The real payoff came a week later. I was at the management office picking up a package when a commotion started in the lobby. Lori had shown up and was demanding to speak to Paula. The clerk told her Paula was not available and that Lori was no longer allowed in the office. Lori started yelling, saying she had rights and the board could not silence her. She pulled out her phone and started recording again, just like she had done to me. But this time, it did not work. A security guard who was standing nearby stepped forward and told her to leave. She refused. He repeated the instruction, louder this time. She still refused. He pulled out his radio and called for backup. That was when Paula came out of the back office. She looked at Lori and said, "You need to leave now, or I will call the police." Lori started ranting about how the association was corrupt and how she was being framed. Paula did not engage. She just stood there, arms crossed, waiting. The security guard stepped between them and told Lori one more time to leave. She finally turned and walked toward the door, still yelling. As she reached the exit, the security guard said loudly, "Step back." She stopped and looked at him, confused. He pointed at a line on the floor that marked the boundary of the office. He said, "You are trespassed. Do not cross this line again." The security guard told Lori to step back in front of everyone. She looked around and realized the entire lobby was watching. She turned and left without another word. I found out later that Paula had filed a formal trespass notice with the local police. Lori was banned from the management office and all common areas. If she violated the order, she could be arrested. Paula also confirmed that the HOA was forced to produce records as part of the restitution process, and the contradictions became public. Homeowners started asking questions about other expenses, and the board had to commission an audit. The audit found additional discrepancies, and 2 other board members resigned. The funny karma moment came when I heard from Dan. He said he saw Lori trying to use her rubber stamp at a community event table a few days before the trespass. She was stamping papers like she still had authority, and the stamp fell apart in her hands. The ink pad separated from the base, and ink splattered all over her blazer. People at the table laughed. She left the event early. The key log review that proved only leadership had access became the foundation for the legal case. The homeowners association pursued restitution, and Lori was required to pay back the value of the stolen items plus administrative costs. The total came to over $3,000. Paula told me Lori tried to negotiate, but the board refused. They wanted to send a message. Karen got trespassed from the management office lobby after a meltdown. That was her consequence. She could not attend board meetings, could not access common areas, and could not interact with staff. She became a ghost in her own community, the same way she had tried to make me a ghost. The HOA was forced to produce records, and the contradictions became public. That was the HOA consequence. The audit revealed that Lori had been manipulating records for months, and the association had to notify all homeowners and implement new oversight policies. The board hired an outside accounting firm to review all financial transactions for the past 2 years. It was expensive and embarrassing, but it was necessary. As for me, I got my work equipment replaced, my access restored, and my reputation cleared. Paula sent me a formal apology letter on behalf of the board. I framed it and hung it in my home office as a reminder that sometimes the only way to win against people like Lori is to gather proof, stay calm, and let the evidence do the talking. I still live at Granite Falls. The neighborhood is quieter now. Lori moved out a few months after the trespass notice. I heard she sold her unit and left Portland. I do not know where she went, and I do not care. What matters is that the community knows what she did, and no one will let someone like her get away with it again. The evidence packet went to homeowners, the narrative flipped, and Karen's credibility collapsed publicly. People still talk about it. When new residents move in, someone usually fills them in on the story. It has become part of the neighborhood lore. The board member who stole packages and tried to frame a neighbor. The treasurer who thought she was above the rules. The woman who got caught because she could not stop performing. I learned a lot from that experience. I learned that you cannot trust someone just because they have a title or a badge. I learned that documentation is everything. And I learned that sometimes the best revenge is not revenge at all. It is just letting the truth come out and watching the consequences unfold. Thank you, and I will catch you in the next one.